Let's say you take your first recall and you have 1175 gold. What do you take? Tier 2 boots or a pickaxe and a dagger? What's better? Well, if you look at the DPS chart, we can see that a pickaxe is more damage than tier 2 boots. So adding a dagger next to a pickaxe means it's a better buy. We're gonna go over similar examples today about what to build, what to purchase at your first and even second recall, maybe even third. So let's get started with why Infinity Edge first, right? The new patch, new split, means Quiver is not really a starting item anymore. Gives you some crit AD and doesn't really build into anything too crazy. Stormraiser won't be in the game, this is a PBE bug. So pretty much for most crit ADCs like Jinx, Samira, Kai'Sa, Caitlyn, Sivir, Xayah, Ashe, maybe, like whoever wants to build crit. If you want to go crit, you should build Infinity first. Exception happen. Maybe Draven, Samira, Nila, maybe they want Collector first. But most of the time, just go Infinity, you're going to be good. It's the most DPS in the game and scales the most out of every single crit item. So trust me on this one, Infinity first the way to go. Now, the issue with Infinity Edge, actually two of them. First of all, it doesn't give any attack speed, right? It gives no attack speed, which sucks. So because of it, we buy BF Sword first, if possible. And then we buy the tier 2 boots for attack speed. And then we finish Infinity Edge. And then we follow it up with like a zeal, right? Makes sense. But what happens if, let's say, your first recall, it's not 1300 gold for BF, it's 700 gold, right? Before this update, if you had 700 gold, don't worry, I'm buying 2 swords, because the 2 swords go into a Quiver, into a Kraken, right? Makes sense. But now, you can't do that. Your most expensive component is 1.3k, then you have pickaxe with 875, and then cloak, which is not even good to take early, it's 600 gold, right? You should, it's like, what options do we have? Well, first of all, I want to mention one thing, right? So if you look at Collector's build path here, you see how the serrated dirk, which is 1000 gold, builds out of 2 swords. But the BF sword, that's 1300 gold, so more expensive, doesn't have any components. This is what Riot still needs to fix for ADC to be really good, for crit ADC to be super nice. Right now this is the most awkward part about crit ADCs, having no real starter item. But I'll show you how to work around this. First recall, 1300 gold. You buy BF, doesn't matter, no matter what. I haven't tested this here. Out of BF, pickaxe tier 2 boots, the BF sword is just the most damage by far, right? But let's say I don't have 1300 gold. Okay, what if I have less gold? For example, I have 875. Makes sense, you buy pickaxe, right? It's just easy to buy pickaxe, we know that, right? Because it's very important to know that buying AD early game is better, right? It just gives you attack damage because you don't start with a lot. It gives you more damage on your abilities because they scale from AD. So it's just a great idea to start with AD. That's why I want to start like either BF or a pickaxe and then go into boots. That's the most damage. That's the best. Most efficient. But let's talk about this scenario where, okay, let's say you recall with 1175. You have the option of buying boots or pickaxe plus dagger. Well, this is a small discussion about boots versus like other components. And should you rush boots? Well, if you can afford BF already, if you look at the damage graph here, like a BF is just gonna be way more damage than boots. Like you should get BF whenever you can. And another reason why you should get BF wherever you can is because let's say you start tier 2 boots first recall, and then your second recall, you have 600 gold. Now what? Am I supposed to buy a crit cloak? No. So this is why you buy a BF sword or pickaxe whenever possible. And then if you have leftover gold, I'm gonna buy a tier 1 boots. I'm gonna buy a dagger. Then maybe upgrade boots. Because otherwise you're locking yourself in without options. So you should buy the most expensive thing first. That's kind of the rule. And you're gonna see a pattern here. So personally, I would buy pickaxe and dagger in this situation. Because I don't value movement speed that much in the early game. ADC is low movement speed, as we all know. Riot says that as well. And I agree. But in the early game, it's like you're not going anywhere, you're just hitting the enemy. You need more damage, right? So boots early for me doesn't do it. Unless there are exceptions, of course. Let's say you play Ashe. Ash really likes boots and attack speed early, because she just perma slows the enemies and runs them down, right? Yeah, for sure, exceptions happen. But I'm talking about like Caitlyn, Jinx, most champions, right? Just take damage usually. So personally I would go to pickaxe dagger, but also again boots are good, movement speed. The damage is not that crazy. I mean, I guess if you had a dagger here, use a bit more, but it depends what you value more, right? Personally, I just like stats, because I'm used to not getting boots since I used to run magical footwear, but that's not the case anymore. We don't do that anymore, right? So let's talk about another thing here, which is, let's say you have less than a pickaxe, you have like 600 gold, 700 gold. What do you buy? Well, you could buy a crit cloak, or you could buy boots and a dagger. And trust me, boots and a dagger are better. Crit is not damage. It's like buying crit early, 15 crit is not gonna help you at all. Even worse, it's gonna make you farm worse. You farm under 30, you wanna hit a minion twice. Oh, you hit it once, you crit, it's messed up, you lose the minion. Oh. Oh well, right, it happens. It's really bad, so don't buy crit cloak early, it's bad. Buy some AD and attack speed first. Trust me on this one. Okay, so basically that's it, right? If you can buy BF, buy BF. If you can buy pickaxe, buy pickaxe. If not, buy boot components. Boom, that's it. First recall, that's how it goes. It's very, very simple. It's just super, super simple. Now let's talk about second recall. Let's say you go to the first recall, you have a BF. Okay, second recall, 1100 gold. Well, that will be BF plus tier 2 boots. That's very obvious, it's a lot of damage. But let's say, okay, we have 875. Well, we buy a pickaxe. And if you look at DPS here, it's actually quite interesting. DPS is very similar. Very, very similar. But if you go pickaxe BF, right, you don't have the movement speed, no attack speed. It's a bit annoying, right? But it depends, right? Again, you should buy the most expensive stuff. If you can afford boots, buy boots. If you can afford pickaxe here, buy pickaxe. And if you have 600 gold, of course, you just buy boots, dagger, you have no other option. Now let's talk about pickaxe start. So your first recall, you just were able to afford the pickaxe. You recall by 900 gold, you have pickaxe. Now, I have 1300 gold, what do I buy? Well, if you look at the chart here, pickaxe plus tier 2 boots is like 133 damage on minigun, 102 rockets. And BF plus pickaxe, you can see that it's a lot more, especially on minigun. It's like 20 more DPS, which means quite a bit in the early game, right? But remember, boots, attack speed, movement speed, they're nice to have, especially after you got your pickaxe. So here I would say, if your champion has some powerful abilities, like you play Caitlyn and have the Caitlyn Q, Caitlyn traps from headshots, you might value a BF sword here a lot more than tier 2 boots. But if you're a fast out attacker like Ashe, for example, yeah, you should go boots definitely. Or if you play Aphelios and you have enough AD from your stats, you should go boots here. That's how you should see some things. A bit champion dependent and a bit personal preference. Right, so don't be afraid to choose. But for the most part, I would say, if you have pickaxe and you can afford BF, you shouldn't buy boots really. Because the next recall you have 1000 gold, now what? I can buy BF, I'm stuck with 1000 gold in base, that sucks, right? So you should buy the affinity components first, most of the time, because then you have options of taking tier 1 boots, taking a dagger and so on. Speaking of dagger, right, now let's say, yeah, you have a BF sword, you have boots as planned, really good recalls, then you recall a third time, for a pickaxe, and now you have left over 300 gold. Should you buy a dagger to have not have 300 unspent gold, because the dagger will go into a rune hurricane, right? Makes sense. Well, this is from personal experience. Don't buy dagger. You should save all your gold for BF. Infinity Edge, sorry, for Infinity Edge. If you have these components right here and 300 gold left over, do not buy this dagger. I cannot stress enough how important it is to rush Infinity Edge. It's such a good item right now. It's 80 attack damage, 25 crit, 50 crit damage, it's insane. It's very good. And because it's expensive, you can't just afford to, oh, I'm gonna, let's say after you buy this, I feel like you need 1000 gold to buy Infinity now, right? Well, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna buy a dagger now, so I'm efficient with my gold right now. Then you recall next time with 700 gold. And now what? If you didn't buy the dagger, you wouldn't be able to afford Infinity Edge. And it's gonna suck. So never buy daggers, just rush the Infinity Edge. And after you rush the Infinity Edge, you can just make yourself a favor. You just buy a zeal item here. Let's say you wanna buy Runans. Oh my god, this is 300. This is 600 after you buy dagger. This is so good. Right, you have so many options compared to Infinity Edge. And this is kind of what I want to talk about today, basically, right? Just very simple what to buy first recall, maybe even second recall. Because I think it's quite important. And especially this optimization of, hey, I'm not gonna buy pickaxe, dagger if I have extra gold. No, you should save enough for Infinity Edge. Trust me, it's gonna help a lot. It's not gonna be awkward if you do that. And as well, looking at DPS again, attack damage early is way better than boots early when it comes to DPS. It's very important to remember that. BF plus pickaxe is very similar to tier 2 boots plus BF, and boots are more expensive. Keep that in mind as well. Alright. But still, some value in the movement speed is to be found in the early game. I think it's fair enough to get boots quite early, but you're just looking yourself out of options if you buy boots first, like in this example. If you get tier 2 boots first, and then you recall with like 600 gold, you can only buy like a crit cloak. That's really bad. Instead, you could have just bought maybe a pickaxe instead of boots. And then next recall you'll be able to afford boots, a dagger, right? Much nicer, maybe even tier 2 boots. Well, it's just way nicer. It's just way nicer to buy the first, the expensive item first. And unfortunately, again, right game really needs to make it so the BF sword builds from 2 swords, maybe even 3, who knows? Because the Threat Eater can build from 2, why? You know, it's not fair. BF sword should get nicer treatment, because then we wouldn't even have this discussion in the first place. Because I feel like this discussion should be pointless. This discussion shouldn't exist, because BF should be able to have components as well. But anyway, until that happens, my prediction is that Riot will do it eventually, hopefully. But if they don't, well, you have this guide now. So hopefully it helped. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.